Okay, I'm back. Just again, disclaimer, nothing in this is medical advice or treatment or diagnosis or prescription or anything like that. It's just for education and inspiration. Sorry, I got cut off there. If I missed your question or I didn't catch up to your question, just throw it at me again and I will happily answer it. I just sometimes get behind, so please tell me about it. But what I was saying about PCOS is there's no treatment for PCOS. It's about actually peeling back the layers that are driving PCOS. If you're over exercising, if you're eating tons of phytoestrogenic foods, meaning nuts and seeds and grains and beans, and gut irritating foods that are burdening your liver, it's very much a multi-layered approach, but we have to have the right nutrition. It's not about cutting this or cutting that or eating gluten-free or dairy-free. It's about actually eating a metabolically supportive diet that's low irritation and high amount of energy, because women with PCOS are hurting for energy. A lot of them are deficient in many minerals like magnesium and calcium and potassium and sodium, which are all going to affect our insulin sensitivity and our hormone production. A lot of women are estrogen dominant because their liver is really burdened, and so PCOS takes a multifaceted approach. I'm working on building a system of programs that supports all these things. So Fully Nourished is getting a complete renovation right now. And then there's going to be a gut program and a mineral program, because I do believe that those are the three foundational things that you need to truly heal, in the sense of get rid of your symptoms, start living a life where you can really thrive. But the nourishment is the beginning. What is your supportive dose of vitamin C in your experience? It just kind of depends. For whole foods vitamin C, you don't need as much to get bang for your buck. Usually I will do 1 to 3 times the recommended dose, which I think for whole foods vitamin C is around 600 milligrams. But then if you're doing OJ and stuff like that on top of it, guava juice, cherries, things like that, probably getting a little bit more of that. But yeah, I usually aim for 1,000 milligrams to 5,000. Tips for reducing histamine. If you have histamine issues, you most likely have a vitamin B6 deficiency, copper deficiency, and then magnesium deficiency is going to be the biggest thing. So dealing with those issues, making sure you're getting magnesium levels up, sodium levels up, B vitamin levels up, grass-fed beef liver. Sometimes taking grass-fed beef kidney can be helpful in the short term, because it's very rich in the DAO enzyme, which can help kind of suppress the immune system, and also grass-fed thymus, which you can buy from ancestral supplements. It just kind of calms the immune system down in the short term, so that you can work on the gut issues that are actually driving histamine, which is going to be a completely imbalanced microbiome. Eating a raw carrot salad every day can help long-term. Spore-based probiotic can help long-term, things like that. Would you recommend wearing sunscreen for red light therapy, vitamin D lamp? Not for red light therapy, but maybe for vitamin D lamp if you're worried about hyperpigmentation or something like that. But remember, sunscreen blocks all vitamin D production, so if you're wearing sunscreen and sitting in front of a vitamin D lamp, then it kind of counteracts itself. Food sources for selenium and vitamin K. Vitamin K is going to be grass-fed dairy, so grass-fed butter, ghee, high-quality dairy like milk, cheese, things like that. Parmesan cheese is really high in vitamin K. And then selenium. Usually seafoods are going to be the best source, so shellfish, scallops and shrimp and things like that are really very high in selenium. Things like oysters, I make sure to eat oysters at least once a week for trace minerals like zinc and selenium. A lot of people will say Brazil nuts, but I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, yeah, they have selenium in them, but they're also rancid and oxidized, unless you can find Brazil nuts that are in their shell. If you're going to crack them yourself, then Brazil nuts can be an amazing source of selenium. Tips for lengthening the luteal phase. I have a short phase in PCOS. Yeah, your goal is to support the nutrients, because oftentimes if you're ovulating, you're making a corpus luteum, but that corpus luteum is not sustaining you for a whole 11 to 14 days, then the corpus luteum is the thing that's struggling. So are you eating enough? Are you eating carbs and protein? Are you eating every 3 hours? Do you have enough vitamin C, enough trace minerals? Some people are deficient in selenium and zinc and things like that, which is going to affect their ability to make progesterone. Trying to think of what else. Fat soluble vitamins are super important, like vitamin A and vitamin K. So it's usually a nutrient issue, like making sure we have the nutrients that we need to support a healthy ovulation that makes us enough progesterone. And that is going to usually take around 90 days of consistency. But that's kind of what I teach in Fully Nourished, my online program. I teach women how to eat for hormone health. And it really, it really helps. Would you pickle fermented carrots be just as good as your carrot salad, eating a raw carrot? Ferments can sometimes irritate people in high amounts, but it really depends on if the raw carrot fiber is still crunchy and kind of mimics the carrot fiber of a raw carrot. If it's soft and kind of has lost the texture of a raw carrot fiber, then it probably isn't going to do the same thing. Thoughts on addressing hirsutism? Thanks. It's usually an estrogen issue. So remember, estrogen can aromatize in the tissue, or testosterone can aromatize in the tissues to estrogen. And so estrogen is going to affect hair growth, both hair growth on the head, your hair can fall out, and hair growth on the face. It can sometimes be DHEA is the problem as well. So hirsutism is usually a stress issue. A lot of people with hirsutism have hypothyroidism, whether it's subclinical or full-blown hypothyroidism. They have hyperlactin or elevated estrogen in relationship to their progesterone. All those things are going to be driving factors in hirsutism. And so the goal with that is to really focus on the root cause, which is balance your blood sugar, eat every 3 hours, protein and carb, make sure you're eating a raw carrot every single day, make sure you have enough progesterone. Make sure that you are sleeping, for 8 hours every night, restful sleep. You're prioritizing your sleep. Make sure you're strength training. Make sure you're getting sunlight every day. Make sure you're prioritizing the things that are going to help with progesterone production and lower stress in the body. Acne significantly worse after ovulation, but progesterone is in good range. What would this mean? Progesterone in a good range really means nothing. You want it to usually be about double the amount of estrogen. And so, sometimes even if your progesterone is in a good range, but your estrogen is elevated or not detoxifying properly, getting out of the body efficiently, then the progesterone level is not going to make a difference. So usually acne gets worse during the luteal phase. That's just pretty common because the liver is more burdened with hormones. And so the ultimate goal with acne that worsens during the luteal phase is supporting detoxification, just continually supporting detoxification. And I do have that handy liver guide in the link in my bio that can really help you point you in the right direction in regards to liver detoxification. Hey Jess, is it normal to see Kaiser-Fleischer ring, copper ring in eyes for copper toxicity? My HTMA confirms copper toxicity, thanks. I wouldn't say it's normal, but I would say it's definitely a thing, right? So it's very interesting that your body's showing up copper toxic in that way. Remember that copper toxicity is more of a copper dysregulation issue. So if we have tons of unbioavailable copper in our tissues and we don't have enough of the cofactors and the nutrients to utilize copper, or we don't have enough bioavailable copper, a lot of times copper toxicity is paired with a copper deficiency, then that's kind of the problem. So usually copper toxicity requires magnesium and whole foods vitamin C in order to move copper, and then balancing of other minerals, of course, like magnesium and potassium and sodium. I have PCOS and insulin resistance, trying to get my period back. Can I drink orange juice? How do I find the right carbs? Anything else to support the body to ovulate? If you have insulin resistance, what types of fats are you consuming? Are you consuming only saturated fats? Usually women with insulin resistance do better on a lower fat diet, not low fat, but just not over consuming fats and consuming, protein and carbs at every single meal. Getting high quality carbs from fruits and roots. Sometimes people do okay with orange juice as long as it's paired with a protein, but some people do need to eat the whole fruits. But the carbs are going to be just remember roots and fruits. So root vegetables and fruits are going to be the optimal carbohydrates, and then always pairing them with a protein. If you absolutely need to take a vitamin D drops as recommended by a doctor, would you also have to take vitamin K? Personally, I would take vitamin K if I was well, I would never take vitamin D, but if, I had to take vitamin D, I would definitely pair it with vitamin K too. What's a small breakfast idea for mornings when I'm hungry but not level 10 hunger? LOL. And I should go back to that last question. It's not that I would never take vitamin D. I just know that vitamin D deficiency is a magnesium deficiency. And so I would treat the root of the problem and then see how my vitamin D levels are before just taking vitamin D, which I know has a high chance of calcifying my tissues. But I just wanted to expand on that. But vitamin K helps with the calcification. What's a small breakfast idea for mornings when I'm hungry but not level 10 hunger? LOL. Personally, I just cut the amount of breakfast in half, or I'll just do yogurt with fruit. But the goal is to have a steady appetite every single morning. But yeah, I kind of just do what I feel. Or I'll kind of start the day with something small, like some OJ mixed with collagen. And then usually that will rev my appetite up and I'll be hungry within 30 minutes to an hour. My boyfriend runs hot to the touch like the sun, but has a normal temp range. He also heats up a room. Is this a medical thing or is this pretty common? If he's not super stressed out and he has really good health, that could be a really good thing. But if he's if he runs super hot to an uncomfortable point, that could totally be adrenaline or cortisol, especially if he's a really stressed out person. But the goal is definitely to eat for heat. So the hotter your temperature, the healthier you are usually, if it's for a healthy reason and you have a healthy metabolism. How long does it generally take to build up stomach acid again? Vegan for 2 years, and now I'm taking a digestive supplement so I can properly digest animal protein. Thanks. It just kind of depends. So remember, hydrochloric acid is made from protein. And so not eating protein affects our ability to make stomach acid. And so, but we need stomach acid to break down protein. And so it can take some time, but as long as we're doing hydrochloric acid regularly with our protein, usually we can lower the amount that we need over time to eventually where we can make our own stomach acid. But if there are other issues going on, like nutrient deficiencies, like for example, zinc deficiency, no amount of protein or digestive supplements will fix the fact that we have a zinc deficiency, and we need to actually deal with that. And remember, coming out of a vegan diet, a lot of times women have horrible nutrient deficiencies that can drive stomach acid issues. So that's something to explore. If, taking a digestive supplement and eating animal protein is not fixing the issue, then maybe explore mineral deficiencies. What foods are a must in your opinion while pregnant? Grass-fed beef liver, oysters, I shouldn't say raw dairy, I should say dairy, high quality dairy products, maybe Parmesan cheese or something like that. Obviously, unpasteurized foods are not recommended for pregnancy, so just, kind of keep that in mind. And then you just want lots of fat-soluble vitamins, though, like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K, vitamin E. I would do grass-fed beef liver a lot, and then lots of carbs, lots of fruit, lots of root vegetables. Nothing different than what I usually recommend. What I would do though is make sure I'm getting at least 100 grams of protein a day, because protein is super important. It's the building blocks of everything, and you are building something, so you want to make sure you have plenty of building blocks. But other than that, I wouldn't really change my diet much at all, except for if I was a little bit hungrier or needed to keep my blood sugar balanced, I might add a little bit more food in or a little more snacks in between. Would it be wise to abstain from taking Shilajit if you're iron toxic? I don't know if I am or not, but I ordered Shilajit yesterday. Shilajit is actually awesome at pulling iron out of the body. So personally, that's what I use for people who have iron issues, paired with whole foods vitamin C and obviously vitamin C rich foods like guava, orange juice, cherries, mangoes, things like pineapple, things like that. But yeah, vitamin C and Shilajit are awesome for iron issues. I've gained 15 plus pounds since starting FN and have felt extremely uncomfortable in my skin lately. I do have good temps and pulses, normal period, energy levels, but now I'm discouraged because I just keep gaining. So the changes that are coming to Fully Nourished will really expand upon weight loss and things like that, kind of troubleshooting. So just hang tight for those. But I would really pay attention to how much fat you're consuming. Some people are consuming lots of fat and lots of carbs. And so sometimes doing less fat and you're not realizing how many calories you are consuming when you're consuming so much fat. So when you're cooking your eggs, 1 teaspoon of butter and 2 tablespoons of butter makes a huge difference, right? Like 2 tablespoons of butter is going to be over 300 calories, whereas a teaspoon is going to be less than 100. And so you kind of have to remember, like, where am I maybe packing in calories that are maybe not working for me, or I'm getting a little too much. Also, like in regards to starches, are you doing lots and lots of starch, lots and lots of grains, things like that? Maybe think about pairing your grains or your starches with fruit. So instead of doing like a full serving of starch, doing a serving of like potatoes and OJ on the side as your carb, rather than just doing like a whole large potato. Those are kind of some factors that can really help with weight loss. So my biggest tips are evaluate the fats that you're consuming. And then, are you eating when you're hungry? Because once you've gotten your blood sugar balanced and you're feeling a little better, you can usually push a little farther between meals. You don't have to eat every 3 hours. You can eat maybe every 4. Sometimes you can do even 5. So, once you're doing really well, it sounds like you've done a lot of work, temps, pulses, normal period, energy levels. So, do you need to eat every 3 hours, or do you feel fine like 4 hours? Are you getting hungry on the 4 or 5 hour mark? That's actually a sign of good health. And then, like I said, like pairing starches with fruit and not going too heavy on the grain starches. Those are like my biggest tips for weight loss. And I know that weight gain can make you feel really blah. Like, it's not one of those things. You can love your body and still want to change your size. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to, it's not like something where it's like, I know, like, you don't want to feel gross or feel uncomfortable. If you feel uncomfortable, then, you can totally be okay making changes. Hi, how do you treat the mineral imbalances with supplements or whole foods? With both. Obviously, whole foods are definitely more, I guess, a better way to go about it. That's definitely the goal. However, sometimes people have such bad mineral imbalances, such bad deficiencies, that there's no way that they can get enough from food. For example, potassium. There's no way somebody, if they're deficient in potassium, can get enough potassium from their food. Literally, I don't know how they could do it. Unless they're just chugging hundreds of dollars worth of coconut water. So personally, like, I do think adding some type of supplement, which I like to stick to more whole foods based supplements, are going to be very helpful for getting enough potassium in and actually making a dent in potassium levels. So I try to do as many whole foods based supplements. I don't like supplementing individual minerals unless absolutely necessary. Tips for seasonal allergies: pollen, grass, birch trees. Some people really like quercetin or like homeopathic remedies based on your region. You can kind of Google that. Some people also talk about like quercetin being very helpful as well. And then some people, I did hear the other day, someone said that grass-fed kidney actually really helps them because it helps with histamine issues. So worth a try, What are your thoughts on fasted workouts? I'm never hungry in the morning when I work out, and I feel uncomfortable if I work out with food or any liquid in my stomach. Fasted workouts are the worst thing that you can do for your hormones. Literally, you're waking up in a depleted state, and then you're forcing your body to work out in a depleted state. It's so horrible for your thyroid. Like, it's just the worst thing we can do. Fasted workouts are like a horrible idea. So the biggest tip is, if you're not waking up hungry, you have either liver issues or blood sugar imbalances. That is like pretty much a sign. If you're not waking up hungry, there's a problem. Our hunger is a gauge for a healthy metabolism, and appetite is a sign of being very healthy. Women want to be hungry, happy, and horny. That's kind of like the goal, right? And so if we're not hungry in the morning, we've got issues, and we really want to work on our appetite and getting our hunger levels up. And so oftentimes it's because people are eating dinner way too early, maybe around 6 o'clock, and they're not actually, their blood sugar is so imbalanced by the time they wake up. And so eating a bedtime snack before you go to bed usually kind of keeps your metabolism stable, stops the stress response, and then you're going to wake up with a better appetite. And then it's usually a good idea to start forcing yourself to eat something for breakfast in order to start revving up your metabolism, because working out on a fasted state is literally going to drive more problems. That's why you're not waking up hungry. You're so stressed out, you're stuck in that adrenaline cortisol state. You're literally every day waking up without an appetite because your stress hormones are suppressing it. And so the goal is to stop working against yourself and to start putting a wrench in the wheel. And so, eat something light, eat a smoothie, or eat some yogurt with berries, or like some cottage cheese on toast, or like a hard-boiled egg or two and some orange juice, something light, and start there. But the goal is to wake up very hungry. That is a sign of a really good metabolism, and we want good appetites. What do you recommend to help healthy cortisol levels? If you have really bad cortisol levels, eating every 3 to 4 hours is imperative, and doing protein and carb at every single meal, and then testing your minerals, because if your minerals are imbalanced, like you're deficient in potassium and sodium, you're usually deficient in vitamin C as well. If you have low magnesium, that's going to affect your adrenals. So usually adrenal issues are being driven by mineral deficiencies. Hi Jess, I'm planning on signing up for a consultation with you to help with my anxiety, but are there any recommendations I can do in the meantime? My ultimate recommendation is eat breakfast within 30 minutes of waking, and eat a snack before you go to bed. Those are like my two favorite things that help a multitude of issues. And then once you're doing that, getting some sunlight in your eyes right when you wake up can be very, very helpful. But those are kind of like basically very easy, but also very powerful things. I have a specific little spot in the inner crease of my left arm that seems to want to be eczema, but it fades and wants to come back toward the second half of my cycle. Any thoughts of why? That's really interesting. Maybe your liver's burdened. Anytime there's like rash, eczema, hives, things like that, it's almost always a liver issue. So just supporting the liver a little bit extra usually helps with stuff like that, especially if it's coming up cyclically. Reading on How to Heal Your Metabolism, How to Start This Diet with Gut Issues. Book is so complex to understand. Just stop eating so many nuts and seeds and grains and beans and leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables. That would just be my with gut issues, the first thing is just to stop eating the foods that are irritating your gut on a daily basis. And once you do that, you're going to realize like, oh my gosh, my gut issues are literally being caused by what I'm eating. And then then you can actually start to implement those kinds of foods. It's like, oh wow, like now food's actually working for me instead of constantly working against me. But yeah, I would say like just stop consuming the foods that are irritating you and start consuming foods that are less irritating. And then also just eat proteins. Like whenever you eat meats, always consume either bone broth or gelatin or collagen with them. And usually that really can help with gut issues as well. But yeah, that would be my 2 tips if you're, trying to figure out how to go about it. I know sometimes it can be overwhelming, so start with 2 really easy things. How long should someone work through your online course before scheduling a consult with hair analysis? It's kind of based on the individual. I think I really do want someone with the basics, like understanding the basics, because like, for example, I don't want to be in a consultation fighting with someone about cutting out cruciferous vegetables. I kind of want you past that point. But I think it's just whenever you're ready. I think Fully Nourished and a mineral balancing protocol can work really, really well together, and most likely would help you make progress quicker. So if you're just like wanting to test your minerals and you're wanting to just like have specific supplementation alongside of as you implement what's going on in Fully Nourished, that's totally fine and totally applicable. Because really if you just want a consultation with an HTMA and just get some strategy and some things to focus on, I can absolutely help you provide some clarity and just get you going on the right path. And then as you go through Fully Nourished, you can obviously make some tweaks and change things as you go. So it's really kind of how you like to implement things and how you like to learn. And then just know that, I can't fix everything in 1 hour, but we can definitely get you started on the right path. And as you make changes, you'll feel better and better. Do you have a recommendation for one single well-rounded supplement for PCOS? Of course, diet changes, but is there any one single supplement to complement other changes? I think if I was going to pick one thing for PCOS, it would be grass-fed beef liver, like ancestral supplements or perfect grass-fed beef liver, something like that, because it's going to be very rich in B vitamins, zinc, copper, like a lot of different nutrients. I also like magnesium and vitamin E for most women with PCOS, so those would be like the two runner-ups. But if I was going to pick like one well-rounded one, it would be grass-fed beef liver if you're not willing to eat liver. Is there a certain amount of calories we should aim for consuming in a day before a workout? Sometimes I work out after breakfast and fatigue super quick compared to afternoon workouts. Yeah, sometimes for example, I need 2 good meals in me before I do a workout. If I just eat breakfast and then work out, I feel the same way. Like, I do need 2 good meals in me before a workout. But I think it's just very individual. Personally, adding in like a workout drink that was half a cup of coconut water, half a cup of orange juice, 2 tablespoons of collagen, and then a bunch of salt really, really helps me have an easier workout, and I don't feel as fatigued after. So that's kind of like something that maybe you could try. I'll be adding that workout drink to Fully Nourished. Fully Nourished is getting like a complete renovation, so I'm actually really excited because once it's done, you guys are gonna be like, mind blown. It's gonna have all the same content. It's just gonna be in a much like easier to navigate form. There's gonna be a lot of topics expanded on. But the workout drink, the coconut water, OJ, collagen, salt drink can help with that. But sometimes people just need a couple good meals in them, honestly, before they work out. It just depends on the person. Can you take 2 pills of Just Thrive probiotic a day in the beginning to help with gut issues? I think you can, but I would just be careful because sometimes I've had people with such bad gut issues, they need to do like 1/8 of a pill at first because they get such bad die-off. So I would definitely not go like right out of the gate with 2 because you might just like literally feel horrible because it is going to be very antibacterial and it's going to help shift the microbiome, which can be really uncomfortable at first. So I would start with maybe 1 and see how I do. And then if you wanted to go up to 2, I guess you could. But it's not about the amount, remember? It's just about having those bacteria present and letting them do their thing, and it can just take time and consistency. And taking 2 a day would be pretty expensive as well. I think that would be like $100 a month. Recently diagnosed with PCOS, the only hormonal imbalance that they noticed was high prolactin and AMH. Is this consistent with PCOS, or should I get a second opinion? Yeah, that's pretty consistent with PCOS, but oftentimes blood tests leave a lot to be desired. You'll find if you just got recently diagnosed, you'll find over time that your doctors most likely will leave you feeling frustrated. There is the occasional good doctor that's going to help you test everything at the right time. But remember, blood tests have to be run at the right time. 5 to 7 days after you ovulate, which is day 19 to 22 of the cycle, if you want to get a good read on progesterone and estrogen and testosterone. Oftentimes blood tests are being run at any time of the month. I'm like, dude, does anybody understand the female cycle over here? Like, hello. A lot of times people say like, oh, my test came back normal, this is the only thing that's in balance, and I'm always like, well, when did you get your test done? What test did you do? You're just getting started. Those 2 things are consistent with PCOS, but I would make sure that you got your test done at the right time of the month. Just had the best period I had in a while. However, I've been getting itchy bumps, not acne, on my face around ovulation time. Thoughts? Interesting. That's awesome that you had your best period in a while. That's, of course, something to super celebrate. Itchy bumps, not acne. I'm wondering if it's, it's not acne though, it's itchy bumps. That's so weird. Yeah, I don't know. For me, the first thing I always do is just like apply vitamin E oil to see if that helps. Because oftentimes if I'm getting something like around ovulation or before my period, I know it's most likely estrogen related or I'm not detoxifying well. So that's like the first thing I go to. I'm just like, well, I was always like, where's my vitamin E? And then the second thing I do is I start like really pounding the chlorophyll lemonade. So I'm like every day, very consistent. And then of course, making sure I'm consistent with the raw carrot. But if you're already doing all those things, then that would be something to kind of like keep an eye on and maybe even get checked out. But it is, if it's coming up cyclically, it most likely has something to do with the cycle. First 2 periods I got after stopping Mirena IUD were normal length for me, 6 to 7 days. Then third period was only 4 days and very heavy. Is this excess estrogen moving out of the body? Cycles are 28 days. Most likely, like a lot of times it takes a couple of months, like a couple of cycles before you start to really see like estrogen dominant symptoms come up. But yeah, it's very possible. You would want to see that period continually get better, like less and less heavy, less symptomatic, that kind of thing. If it just continues to stay that way, then you might have some estrogen work to do. What supplements would you suggest for zinc? I see a lot of zinc and copper combos. Are those bad? No. If I was going to take zinc, I would absolutely take copper. I like personally doing a whole foods based supplement like oysters, eating oysters at least once a week over taking a zinc supplement, because anytime you take zinc, you could potentially cause a lot of problems. But if you are low in zinc and you need zinc, I do like Jarrow's Opti Zinc. It's literally like $7 and it has 15 milligrams of zinc and 1 milligram of copper. But yeah, I like that supplement. It's very easy to get your hands on too. But yeah, Jarrow. I'm very late. How do I know why I'm ready for more dairy? Been using grass-fed butter and Parmesan cheese with no issue. If you have no issue, then it's always a good idea to try some more. When it comes to milk, I usually say like probably a good idea to start with like 1 or 2 tablespoons. A lot of my clients will start with a sip. Like just take a sip out of I don't know if they're doing it out of the jug, but I'm sure they are. But yeah, just start with a sip, see how you do, and then like move it up to 2 sips, that kind of thing, and then maybe like a small cup. And yeah, but if you're having no issues, then I don't see why you wouldn't want to try some more. Hi Jess, I cannot get my hands on oysters too often. May I ask what zinc supplement you recommend? Is 50 milligrams too much? Because it really helps me with acne. Hope you're doing good. Yes, Lynn, if it helps you with acne, it probably is helping move iron out of the body. So 50 milligrams is a higher dose. Usually like a dose is going to be 15 to 30 milligrams. So 50 is quite a bit, but it's one of those things where, of course, that's your personal choice and you know your body better than anybody else. I personally like Opti Zinc by Jarrow, the one that I just mentioned. It's so inexpensive. It's very easy to get your hands on. It's a high quality form of zinc that's very bioavailable. So just remember, you guys, when you're taking a very bioavailable form of zinc, you don't need to take it forever. You just want to take it until you get your levels back up, and then you possibly don't need to take it anymore. But yeah, Opti Zinc by Jarrow is my favorite, and it is 15 milligrams of zinc. So 50 is quite a bit. I've been on birth control for about 10 years. What should I expect when I get off? I think it just depends on the person. Some people have no problems. Some people have lots of problems. So I think it's just good to be informed. I usually recommend doing some light reading. I like the Period Repair Manual by Lara Bryden. If I was going to read one book before I went off the pill, I did go off the pill. I knew nothing at the time. I wish I knew something. I knew nothing. I would have recommended my 17-year-old self to read the Period Repair Manual by Lara Bryden. There are some other ones like Beyond the Pill by Dr. Jolene Brighton, which I haven't read fully. I've kind of skimmed it. I don't like her diet recommendations and stuff like that. I think it can get really confusing, but actually understanding the pill and understanding how it's been affecting your body, that's the most important part. And then understanding what to expect, at least to know what changes your body might go through. Because when we've been taking the pill, we've been suppressing our natural production of progesterone. And so the goal is to get back to cycling, right? We've stopped our cycle for however long we've been on the pill. And so we want to actually get our cycle back. And we want to have that ovulation and then that menstruation. We want it to be in that 28-day cycle. For some women, it's anywhere from 25 to 30 days. But, or I think it's 21 to 35 days or something like that. But, we want to go through the cycle where we're, follicular phase, we ovulate, we make progesterone all the way up until we start our period again. And then follicular phase starts, and then we ovulate and we make progesterone, and then we start our period again. We want to get back to that cycle. And sometimes it can take some time if we've turned that cycle off for an extended period of time. What was the best magnesium supplement again? Carbonate or glycinate? What's the difference between all the kinds? Yeah, there's quite a lot of kinds. Personally, I only like to use glycinate, malate, chloride, and bicarbonate. Now, they all have different purposes. Bicarbonate's very helpful, right? Because we would naturally be exposed to a lot of bicarbonates in water if we were drinking natural spring water. Now remember, the spring water that you buy in the glass bottle is no longer natural, so please don't drink too much of that or you're going to like calcify yourself. But when it comes to bicarbonate, it's very, very powerful at helping the metabolism and the pancreas and things like that. Helps you produce more digestive enzymes. However, bicarbonate is neutralizing, meaning that if you do too much bicarbonates, you're going to neutralize your stomach acid. And so you kind of want to do, if you're doing a lot of bicarbonate, you would want to do that away from meals as to not like affect your digestion too much. If you're just doing like a half a cup a day or that kind of thing, that's not going to be a big deal. But if you're doing a lot, if you're getting all your magnesium from bicarbonate, you would want to maybe get that away from meals. So a little bit bicarbonate goes a long way. And then chloride would be the magnesium oil that you put on your skin. That would be naturally found in sea salt, right? So if you were swimming in the ocean, you swim in the sea, when you go to, when you lived in Maui or when you go and swim in the ocean in California, like it feels so good, right? That's the magnesium that you would find in salt. It's the magnesium you would find in the ocean. And so I like magnesium chloride oil on my skin as another, beneficial magnesium form. And then glycinate is magnesium that's bound to glycine. And that's very relaxing and calming to the body. It's a very bioavailable form, very usable form. And I like glycine as well because it's going to be very supportive to the liver and it's going to be very calming. So magnesium glycinate would be my favorite. And the magnesium malate is also very bioavailable. There are a lot of forms of magnesium out there. Don't get me wrong, but those would be the top ones I would choose. In some cases, if people are very constipated, using like calm magnesium citrate is helpful, but that's not really going to really do much to your magnesium levels. It's just going to help you poop. So I like my top 4 picks. What can cause short-term memory loss? It has gotten a lot worse since stopping birth control, but did have it during 2, just not as bad. It's a lot of different things can. Estrogen can affect the brain, blood sugar imbalances can affect the brain, hormone, just general hormone levels like progesterone can affect the brain. So I couldn't say for sure. But if your estrogen has kind of started moving out of your tissues, that would make sense, right? Because, you're getting exposed to levonorgestrel when you're on the IUD, which is a progestin that has a very estrogenic effect. And then once you stop, now you're moving estrogen out of the body. So it could possibly be estrogen. Any tips for weight gain? Do you mean are you trying to gain weight or are you trying to lose weight? Can you please save this live session? Thanks in advance. Of course, it's going to be on my YouTube channel. They always get uploaded, even if it takes me a little bit. Good sign that I'm hungry every 3 hours. I've been trying to eat every 3 to 4 hours the past couple months. Yes, appetite is awesome, right? We want to be hungry. Hunger is a good sign. It means that we're not stressed. Any way to get vitamin A if cutting out dairy for elimination diet? Okay to wait on eating dairy again until gut heals. Hate to cut it out of my diet, but acne bad. Yeah, I don't blame you. The best form of vitamin A is going to come from grass-fed beef liver then. Grass-fed beef liver is a great source of vitamin A. And if you're not doing high-quality dairy, that would be my second best pick. Hi, Jess. Vitamin C and iron. I forget what their relationship is and how to help use iron correctly. Thanks. How to flush stored iron, Yeah, so it doesn't help flush stored iron. We just want to make sure we're utilizing iron better. So vitamin C helps our body utilize iron and kind of moves it out of the liver and the kidney. Remember, the liver and the kidneys do have a lot of iron requirements. They store a lot of iron, but once they get overloaded, then iron's going to start going to other places. It's going to be maybe in the tissues, come out of the face, aka acne, come out of the back, those types of things. So vitamin C can help us utilize iron and move it out of the liver and the kidneys so that they don't get overloaded and it doesn't start to go in other places. Of course, iron's not bad. We need iron, but we need to be able to use it. And so many people, that's their problem. It's not that they're low in iron, it's that they can't use it because they don't have the cofactors. So vitamin C is very important in iron use. Magnesium is very important. Vitamin A is very important with iron use. Which is why I know a lot of people that cut dairy, they find that their acne doesn't get better. And then a lot of people that started fully nourished and implemented dairy back in, their acne got better. So that's just a tangent. But vitamin A helps you use iron better. Magnesium helps you use iron better. So all the basics that I always talk about here, guys, when I'm creating programs or I'm creating protocols or things like that, I have all these things in the back of my mind. It's not like I'm forgetting these things or you have to worry about how do I use iron? Like when I'm creating a protocol, when I put orange juice in something, coconut water, those types of things, those are there for a reason. They're literally there to help you utilize iron better and give you vitamin C so you can make progesterone and calm your adrenals down and make sure you get potassium. Everything that I make is made very specifically and with intention. It's not like I'm just like throwing things together like other nutritionists out there, or there's a lot of people in the health and wellness field that aren't really schooled at using food as medicine, whereas I, like, everything that I create, everything that I make is food as medicine. Literally everything that you'll find in my programs or my protocols is food as medicine. Do you work with people remotely? I'm from Malaysia. I can work with people remotely. I do like to get a hair tissue mineral analysis from people, and there are certain countries where I know where to get hair tissue mineral analysis, but I don't know where you would get one in Malaysia, so that would be something that you would maybe have to figure out for yourself. But I definitely can. I just usually recommend, if you've never taken my program like Fully Nourished before, that might save you tons of money and time, because usually when I'm working one-on-one with someone, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper. Whereas if it's something like working on nutrition and working on diet and all those things, those are things that I've taught in Fully Nourished. And just like I said, like, I want to give you guys like a disclaimer. Fully Nourished is is a work in progress, and it's getting completely renovated. So I'm really excited about it, because I like sat down this week and it was just like, okay, we're going to overhaul the whole thing. All the information in there is still going to be in there. It's just going to be delivered in a different form, be very accessible. There's going to be tons of new resources added, meal plans, things like that. So be patient with that. You can totally sign up for it right away. If you want, like, I'm leaving it open, and you'll be grandfathered into the new stuff. I just want to let you know that, new stuff is coming. Do you have any thoughts on Ovasitol? Yeah, I always say, like, I'm neutral on it. Some people see, like, huge results from it, and some people see nothing. It is vitamin B8, so it is like a sugar alcohol. It can have some gut effects and things like that. I think it helps with, like, insulin sensitivity for some people, just because it's helping kind of it helps kind of reshift the microbiome, or shift the microbiome in a certain direction for some people. So that's why, like, it works for some people great, and like for some other people they don't see anything at all. But it's very expensive kind of gamble, I know you recommend beef liver, but what about chicken liver? I love chicken, but the beef, personally, too chalky for me. Yeah, chicken, all different types of liver, like chicken liver, lamb liver, beef liver, they all have different benefits. And so sometimes, like, beef liver is going to be the highest in vitamin A and certain B vitamins, but chicken liver is very powerful as well. You just want to make sure it's coming from very high quality chickens, and not just like normal and conventionally grown chickens, or the probably not the best idea. Chickens are just a little bit nastier animals than cows. What are your thoughts on herbal teas for hormonal imbalances and PCOS? I like certain ones, so I like nettle and oat straw and red raspberry leaf. Those are kind of like my favorites. I like to make, in Fully Nourished, you'll find a multivitamin that is a herbal multivitamin, which is just really an herbal concentrate. It takes those 3 teas and has you concentrate them into like a tincture, almost like a very concentrated tea, and then do like a shot or 2 of those a day. But yeah, I like certain herbs for PCOS. Isn't castor oil a PUFA? Also, I get constipated for a couple days after doing castor oil packs. Thoughts? Yeah, castor oil is a PUFA, and it's one of those really interesting ones because, like, the research shows that it's very, it kind of gets the immune system going, and is kind of antibacterial. So I've used castor oil for a long time, or castor oil packs for a long time, and I'm on the fence with them, because it's like one of those things where I know it's a PUFA, but then in reality they've helped so many of my clients, and so that's like the one thing that I can't give up for some reason, just because I have seen so many benefits, and I can't find why it doesn't work with other oils. Like, I've tried an olive oil pack, and I've tried all these different types of oil packs just to see if they would have the same benefit, and nothing works quite the same. So, I will kind of let you guys know if I change my mind on castor oil packs, but if you get constipated after doing them, maybe they're not a good idea. Sometimes people will get constipated because, like, think junk's moving out of the liver, but some people, it's just not working for them. So Yeah, but yeah, your question is is a good question. And it is something that I've thought about a lot. Like I've tried to do research on why it is castor oil, and castor oil seems to just have this very like immune stimulating like anti-inflammatory detoxifying effect. It gets like junk moving out of the liver and gallbladder like no other mother. But at the same time, it's like sometimes I wonder like, okay, I'm trying to find like any possible negative side effects of that other than having PUFAs on your skin. What collagen do you recommend? I have Vital Proteins and it is not pleasant. I personally use Great Lakes brand collagen. Sometimes it can take some time to like get used to the flavor. Is it a good sign to be burping after raw carrot salad and just tried prebiotic? Die off? Possibly, yeah. I mean, a lot of times if you have like bacteria in the upper digestive tract, like the upper small intestine or the stomach, you'll get like some pressure and burping when you start to shift the microbiome. Is raw dairy best consumed at room temperature? Um, I don't personally consume at raw temperature. I consume my raw dairy like cold. But I know some people will ferment their raw dairy into like kefir or yogurt. So I don't know if they consume that at room temperature. It just sounds kind of gross to me. Is getting red light in the morning the same as getting sunlight? I get up at 4 a.m. and start work at 6 a.m., so getting sun first thing is a challenge for me. It's not quite the same thing, but you kind of do the best with what you have, so getting red light is better than no light at all. And I would say, yeah, it would be comparable. Not the same, but comparable. So jealous of your hair. Does it take long to see with results with hair loss after making lifestyle changes? It can take some time if you're trying to still figure out what's going on. My hair growth has been slow. Like I used to have very thick, way thicker hair, and you guys can see like I have the thinning hasn't like completely gone away. I haven't had my full hairline grow in quite yet, but I've had a lot of progress like in these areas. It used to be like total male pattern. So my hairline has grown in. It's just still lots of baby hairs and things like that. So I am working on different things like the aspirin spray, the red light therapy. Those types of things have really helped my hair growth. However, like I really am trying to work on like some other tinctures and things like that I of course will share with you once I've kind of figured them out to really help grow in the hair and thicken up the hair. Because like internal and external always works well so like together. But the things that made the most change with my hair loss was stop eating such low carb and eating every couple of hours to keep my blood sugar balanced. Those are like the two main things that made the biggest difference. And then obviously digestive health, because inflammation and estrogen are going to cause such bad hair loss. So those are kind of my factors. And then also introducing all natural hair care. I only use Morocco method. I don't use any type of stripping shampoos that are lathering. Like hair's really not meant to be shampooed in the sense of like cleaned with suds. So my clay-based shampoos have really made a difference as well. That vitamin E oil brand do you recommend for topical use? Well, usually like I'll just open up a capsule, like pierce it with some type of like safety pin and just use it. But if I want to get like a full oil, Unique E has a pump bottle oil that's really convenient. Yeah, Unique E by AC Grace. You can get them on Amazon. What are your thoughts on artificial sweeteners? Do they have any impact on insulin blood sugar? Yeah, artificial sweeteners are awful for our blood sugar. They're just awful in general, especially like Splenda and stuff like that. Remember, your body's not seeing it as a sugar because it's processing it as a toxin. It's pretty much almost molecularly identical to chlorine, which, we don't chug chlorine for a reason. So I do not like artificial sweeteners and things like stevia and monk fruit and things like that. You can just taste how unnaturally sweet they are. They have weird aftertaste and things like that. And what happens is when your tongue tastes sweetness, your whole body prepares for incoming sugar, right? So your insulin is going to go up. You're going to get a little bit of an insulin response. Like your body's going to prepare for carbohydrates and sugars. And so when you consume stevia or monk fruit and there's no sugar that comes in your body, but your body sensed a taste of sweetness, your blood sugar drops, boom, very quickly. So usually about an hour after consuming an artificial sweetener, you'll find your blood sugar is just crazy. You're irritable, you're hangry, maybe you're having sugar cravings. You need more artificial sweetener because your body wanted sugar in the first place. And so now your stress hormones are going to start to secrete. So adrenaline, cortisol to raise up your blood sugar. This is hard on the liver. This is hard on the tissues. I mean, this is bad for muscle growth. It's not good. So if you're craving sugar, you need sugar. That's what your body's telling you. And we shouldn't be putting some fake sugar in our body. We need carbohydrates for a reason. That's what every single one of our cells runs on. Is there a water filter that you recommend? Yeah, if I was gonna personally, I have an Aquasana, but I wish I would have gotten a Pristine Hydro. My filter's a couple of years old, and I didn't know of Pristine Hydro when I first bought one. So if I was gonna get one again, I would get the Pristine Hydro, and I will once mine kind of takes a dump, if it does. I know Pristine Hydro is a little bit more pricey, so there's other, available. Reverse osmosis that adds minerals back in is going to be the best. So I would say like Pristine Hydro is the king, but Pure Effects, really good. Clearly Filtered is another very popular one. What else? Pure Effects, Clearly Filtered, Aquasana. Those are going to be like my top 3. Those are the ones I can think of. Like Berkey's fine, especially if it has a fluoride filter, but not like optimal. So those are kind of like, if you need some type of gravity filter, of course, like do a Berkey. But if you can do like reverse osmosis or something like that, or even clearly filtered, or it's called clearly filtered or purely filtered, I can't remember, that would be more ideal. What about magnesium chelate? Is that okay? I think that magnesium chelate is not as optimal. That's not like one of the ones that I normally recommend. I don't know much about that one. Also, thank you so much for all that you do. Oh, you mentioned something that you're working on for PCOS. Is this related to Fully Nourished? Fully Nourished is really good for anyone. Personally, I have PCOS, so I'm coming from a perspective of polycystic ovarian syndrome. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is a metabolic issue. It usually has thyroid issues involved, adrenal issues. There's a multitude of hormonal factors playing into PCOS. So, don't be fooled. If you guys have PCOS, don't be fooled by marketing. PCOS is a big business now. And so if somebody's saying like, weight loss for PCOS or, nutrition for PCOS, they're just trying to get your dollar. And so, there's nothing wrong with that. However, it's one of those things where, people with PCOS don't need to eat much differently. They need to eat to support their metabolism. They need to eat to make sure that they're moving estrogen. They need to eat to make sure to support progesterone. But I am going to add some modules that pertain, or some lessons that pertain a little bit more to PCOS in Fully Nourished, just so people can have some clarity. But I did do a podcast with Matt Blackburn on Mito Life Radio that you guys can listen to, where we talked about PCOS for a good hour to 2 hours, and that was what I mentioned about PCOS. If a person signs up for Fully Nourished, how long does their access last for? You have unlimited access. So just like I said, give me some grace. The content is being upgraded as we speak, but you'll have access forever, and any changes or updates, you'll be grandfathered in. I know this is TMI, but there's a supplement that helps you fully empty your bowels in the AM, not a laxative. Do you have a brownie recipe you could share, please? Yeah, so I usually do a cup of cocoa powder, or cacao powder, I should say, 4 eggs, half a cup of oil, coconut oil, obviously, not nasty oil, and then a pinch of baking soda and salt. And what else do I do? A half a cup of sugar. A half a cup of sugar. Don't forget the sugar. You're going to be like, wait, what the heck? Is there a calorie amount most women should follow to ensure hormonal balance? Usually women should be around 2,000 calories-ish, but a lot of women have under 8 their whole life. So, they need to slowly work up to that and get their metabolism functioning better before they just jump to that amount. It's usually going to be a slow and steady process to get to that point, but usually around 2,000, sometimes some women are upwards of 2,500 if they're strength training, and some women are around, 1,900. And there's no proper amount. You always want to be eating as much as your body can handle without, just continual weight gain. Some women have to gain what I call the safety pounds of 10 to 30 pounds, especially if they've been in a deficit, or they've just been under eating for so long. Sometimes their body needs that safety, but then usually that weight will plateau. And then once they've kind of plateaued, they'll start to move in the right direction. Because it takes energy to burn energy, you guys. And what a lot of women don't realize is they're like, well, I just don't want to gain weight. And I'm like, you literally can't lose weight until you have enough energy to do so. Losing weight is an energy intensive job. And so like, if you're not eating enough, you're going to just have this constant like, you're going to have a hard time losing weight. So usually like it really just depends on the person, but usually around 2,000-ish calories is appropriate. And that also depends on the nutrient density, because if somebody's eating really high quality food, they might need less calories because they're getting so many nutrients over someone that's eating maybe more processed or like a little bit less nutrient dense eating or foods. So it is important to keep in mind that you might feel hungrier if you're not eating as nutrient dense or high quality foods. I've been using Morocco Method for 2 months and still detoxing. LOL. Hope this means bad things are leaving my body. Yeah, when I first used Morocco Method, it took a long time for my scalp to normalize. The best thing that I found was just like washing my hair every single day and just kind of not letting the oil build up. And then eventually like it just kind of normalized. But yeah, I totally feel you. Coconut milk, okay, substitute for milk or rice milk if homemade. Yeah, if homemade, yeah. Coconut milk, the usually the problem with it is going to be that it often has additives like xanthan gum and stuff in it, and that's going to cause like horrible irritation and liver burden. But if you're making it at home, like that's a great option. Rice milk is also, but if you're using rice milk a lot, you could be being exposed to a lot of arsenic, so I recommend like mixing it up between coconut milk and rice. I drink spring water all the time, not good. It's pretty high in iron depending on where you're sourcing it from. But yeah, it can definitely cause iron issues if you do lots and lots of like Mountain Valley or Topo Chico or those types of waters. If someone who's drinking reverse osmosis water, what is the best way to add the minerals back in? One of those things like trace mineral drops are gonna be like a good option. Some people like to do like a marine phytoplankton. Oh, tastes disgusting. You can do like sea salt, like a pinch of high quality sea salt. But I like trace minerals drops. Like a lot of people ask me like, what trace minerals drops? And I'm like, it's literally called Trace Minerals Research Trace Minerals drops. So those would be the ones. And usually when you type them in Amazon, those are the first ones that come up, and they come in this like big bottle. But yeah, that would be my choice for Trace Minerals drops. Thank you, Matt. If someone got that one. Will the price for FN be increasing? It will. Once it's all updated, it will be increasing slightly, but I'm going to be doing so. I'm working on something special. I have a problem with announcing things before they're done, so, just be patient. I'm not going to tell you when it's going to be done. But I'm working on a small, like, Master Your Cycle mini class that you guys can get, and I will be running a special where you guys can purchase Fully Nourished and get that bonus class together. If you purchase Fully Nourished at the price it is now, you get the bonus class thrown in there. And I will be running that special before Fully Nourished is updated and the price increases. So you guys will have a chance. I'll make sure I announce that. But once Fully Nourished is completely renovated, it's having so much stuff added to it. It is going to be raised just slightly. Not by too much. So 1 cup of cacao powder. Yeah. No, that wasn't a typo. Which Morocco Method shampoo do you use? The one with apple cider vinegar? Yeah, I rotate between the Earth Essence, the apple cider vinegar, and the Heavenly Essence one. I really like all those. But I really want to try their shampoo bar. I'm really like eyeing it. I like their apple cider vinegar shampoo because they have salicylic acid or white willow bark in them, so that like really decreases inflammation. And then like bentonite clay, obviously, kaolin clay, like lots of clays. They have lots of essential oils and stuff. So if you actually follow the directions and do the cleansing, so you cleanse your hair, your scalp first, you let it kind of sit on the hair for like 4 to 5 minutes, and then you rinse, and then you do it one more time and like let it sit on the scalp and nourish the scalp. It works really, really well. So I really like it. I eventually would love to like make my own line of shampoos, like nutrient rich shampoos, because I don't like that they add like certain oils and things like that, but until then I really like them. I've been wanting to try Inner Sense as well. A lot of people have been saying like Inner Sense shampoos are good, and I have really curly hair, so I think I will try those. Carb recommendations. My main sources right now are brown rice, quinoa, sweet potatoes, fruit juice, dried fruit. Enjoyed listening to you on Blackburn's pod. New fan. Oh, great. I'm so happy to have you. Nose has been draining since antibiotics, and especially when I eat. Anything I can do? Is this the microbiome being imbalanced? It's possible. Sometimes drainage is actually working for us. It's kind of rebalancing our microbiome, so it just kind of depends, but it should go away over time if you're really working on your gut health, which I know you are. All right, guys, I have like 1.5 minutes, and then Instagram's gonna cut me off. So if I end it, that's why. Saw that Trace Minerals has had fluoride, lead, and mercury. Can you look into this? Kind of wary of trying it. Well, anytime you're doing any type of mineral supplement, Trace Minerals, or if you're doing like Shilajit, you're gonna get the good with the bad. If you're getting minerals from a natural source, there's going to be trace metals, trace minerals. So those are kind of things that come good with the bad. But personally, I'm not as stressed about it, but I need to look into it. I will definitely look a little further into it. What do you feed your dog, and what are your thoughts on carbs for dogs? Do you think they should be eating protein only? I feed my dog a raw grind, and he gets like supplemented with like chicken legs and like bones, marrow bones, knuckle bones, chicken feet, turkey necks, grass-fed beef liver, pates, eggs, things like that with the shell. Like he'll eat the whole thing. He eats the whole chicken leg. He eats straight up bones. But yeah, I buy a raw grind that's already ground from a company called Vibrant Canine. There's a lot of like local raw grind companies, and yeah, she does mix in like some butternut squash and like a few little tiny carbohydrates, blueberries and stuff like that. But for the most part, he eats mostly protein and fat. All right, you guys, good night.